This is a AP Physics video number 6. This is one that has to do with a rotational equilibrium experiment that you're going to do at home and then report on the results in the comments section at the bottom of this video, okay? So what we're doing here is taking an object, a long skinny object. This is kind of a Swiffer mop here that I have, but you can use anything that's, you know, kind of long and skinny, right? Broom or a golf club or anything like that, and it'll work just fine. So first thing is, just like we did before in class, balance it on your finger, right? The thing by itself. Figure out where its center of mass is. That's the place where it's going to balance on your finger, okay? Then the next thing is you need two objects. In my case, I'm using a box of macaroni and cheese, and I'm using a jar, a plastic jar, of course, right? In case anything bad happens, of tomato sauce. I know what both of those masses are, right? So what I'm going to do is set up an equilibrium experiment between those two masses and see how close I am to getting rotational equilibrium the way it should be. Okay, now there's a couple teeny bits of error in this. The objects have some added things to them, like for instance, look at my tomato sauce over here. It's got on it rubber bands and paper clip and a little bit of tape just to make sure the whole thing stays stable. And down at the other end on our macaroni and cheese, of course there's some tape on that too to make sure it stays put on the end of the mop. Okay, so what I'm going to do is get this in equilibrium. We're going to try it out and see how close we are to having everything balanced the way it should be based on known weights and distances that I can measure out from the pivot point to each of those objects. Okay, so let's see how this looks. So I'm going to re-put my finger here at where the center of mass of just the Swiffer was by itself, right? And if I do that right now, it tips this way because the macaroni and cheese, which is way out on that end, its torque on that side is too much for the tomato sauce. So what I got to do is I got to move my tomato sauce over a little bit. So that's what I do. Not quite there yet. Move it a little bit more. And I think it's getting pretty close to having it right about there. Just a teeny bit more. Okay, so now I have it balanced, right? What I need is somebody else to come along and measure, right? I need to get this distance from this rubber band into the pivot point, which is the original Swiffer center of mass. And then also from that center of mass way out to where the middle of the connecting tape is to the macaroni and cheese, okay? So what I've got here then is I got one torque one way, one torque the other way, and then if I compute the numbers out, the two torques should balance, okay? Now in my case, I got really close. I use this as a known macaroni and cheese number for its mass. It's on the outside of the box, and the distance from it to my finger, right? And then I figured out what should have been the mass of the jar of sauce from that, and I got really close. I got about a seventh of a ounce off of what the jar of sauce should have been. It was like 24.14 versus 24. And you know, when they measure it, who knows how close they actually are anyway. So that's really very good. So that's the first part of your experiment with this, is to set it up with known objects and prove to yourself that the center of mass and rotational equilibrium system that we have here is going to produce correct answers, okay? All right, so that's the first part. The second part of this is you have to pick something that's an unknown now. So pick something else in your house, hopefully, again, something that's not going to, if it falls off for some reason, it's going to break or whatever. Something else that you can put on the end of the stick and use one of your known objects. My case, maybe it'd be the macaroni and cheese I leave on the end again, okay? And then I have another object that I'm going to put far away from it, and then we're going to get its mass. You're going to get its mass in grams, okay? Now, here's my dream, okay? I'll tell you what my dream is, right? My dream is that everybody, on the day you guys come back to school, you bring your weird object with you, and we actually put it on a scale, and we actually mass it, and we see who's closest, and then we have a bona fide winner on this, you know, just like sticker glory, right? So that's what my hope is for this. But what I'd like you to do is to put down in the comments here, of course, comments are fine, but then also your mass of your own unknown object and what your unknown object was. And so you'll remember too by the time we come back to school, and then we put things on scales that day and see how close anybody is, okay? All right, so that's the idea for this. It's a rotational equilibrium experiment. Do it at home and get your best answer and put it in the comments, okay? All right, thanks.